Now, this story for me was one I talked about on Facebook, and I really wanted to cover. We're actually going to follow this story all the way through. We're going to cover it next week too, because we have some of our folks. We're planning on calling this particular county court because it's just alarming. So this happened in. This guy was going to Saginaw Valley State University. I probably pronounced it wrong, but you know what I'm trying to say. And the student was charged with a felony because he waited for a brightly lit area to stop instead of immediately pulling over when the police signaled him. His name is DaJuawn Wallace. He's 24 years old. It was 2 a.m. and he was taking his trip to the store on February 19th to pick up medicine for his girlfriend when he noticed a car was accelerated behind him. When the officer behind him activated his lights and sirens, Wallace said that he moved into the right lane and signaled to the officer by putting his hand out that, follow me and we're going to go to a lighted area. And he said the following: "I live in Detroit and I know some people were robbed by fake police officers," Wallace said. And I was taught to find a well-lit area before you pull over. I was not speeding, turning off my lights, or trying to get away from him. All I was trying to do was be safe, right? So Wallace waited 1.5 miles and pulled into the Sam's Club, where the officer first, 1.5 miles from where he was to where the officer was, from where he was to got to the Sam's Club. In the police report, the officer, Leon Wilson, wrote, he pulled over once because his vehicle resembled one that had been seen on the campus sidewalk, meaning the car was illegally placed on the sidewalk, and so he was following up the reports. It looked like the same color. It was leaving the same immediate area. And basically, in a nutshell here, the driver made no attempt to pull over and stop. I observed the driver stick his hand out the window a couple times. I did not see the driver throw anything away from the vehicle, though it was dark and the road was poorly lit. So this is what the police officer said. Yet still, they charged him with a felony, failing to respond to police pullover, resisting a police pulling you over or whatever. So the prosecutor said, well, you know what? We think this is awful. We understand your story. We agree with you. So instead of pleading guilty to the felony, we'll allow you to plea out and plead guilty to the misdemeanor and delay your sentence and give you 1 year probation. You won't go to jail, no problems. But Mr. Wallace, rightfully so, says, no, I done nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. All I wanted to do was protect my safety. One, because the police officers are killing black men unarmed left, right, and center in the middle of the dark in random parts of Michigan. I wouldn't want to pull over for a police officer either. Number two, I did nothing wrong. I didn't violate any traffic laws. He was pulling me over because he thought I stole something or my car was illegally parked. And all I wanted was to go to a lighted area so I could protect my safety. Now, I think we've reached a really sad place in America when people are afraid of the police to the point where they won't pull over unless it's in a lighted area. Number two, I think Mr. Wallace is 100% right. What he's saying is that I'm getting a master's degree in public health administration. Me pleading guilty to this misdemeanor means I won't be able to qualify for financial aid. I might not be able to get a job. This is downright unjust and wrong. And we here at the Fowler Show completely agree. So we'll have to see what happens. This is probably going to go to trial. But we here at the Fowler Show are going to monitor this case. Because America, if you want better relations, and also remember, the police, after all that was said and done, I know I have the sniffles, I'm sorry. I'm still here with you though, right? The police ended up arresting him and pulling him over and pulling him out of his car and all these different things. There's dash cam video from it, right? You cannot sit there, I'm sorry, I don't care if you're black, white, yellow, purple, orange, or red. You can't sit here and think this is okay. You really can't. This America is the problem. And if we don't work together to address it, this nation will be worse off instead of better off.